So we thank you for joining us. We just wanted to talk a little about the parent-child groups that we offer here at River of Life and why parent and child family systems are so important. So we've kind of seen in our counseling sometimes with parents and children that, you know, the parent influences the child and the child influences the parent, and you know, how the system all kind of plays in with each other, and you know, it's just kind of interesting sometimes to watch that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Many times a family system is much, like I tell the clients, is much like a working factory or a working engine where everybody puts their piece on the product, or what everybody does actually contributes to the motor or the factory running. The odd thing, or not the odd thing, but the good thing about this is if we can change one part of that system, initially the system will try to regroup and continue on the way it has been going, but if the person who has changed continues to change and continues to stay changed, then the others will automatically have to give in and change their pattern, or their change from the old pattern to a new pattern, and so then the whole system begins to change.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of watch that dynamic, how, you know, again, that parents sometimes will come in and say, oh, my rebellious kid does this, but actually we'll see that there's a piece of the child, what skills he or she may not have, and then what skills the parent may or may not have, and kind of how they all interact with each other.
Right.
So that's why it's so helpful, and here at River of Life we have those parent-child groups so that we can be working both with the child and skill development as well as with the parent and those type of things.
Right. A lot of it has to do with getting to the parents, or getting behaviors reframed, where we look at perhaps the child's behavior as the bad behavior, and the parent comes in to get the child fixed. Whereas when we look at the whole family as a system, we look at, okay, this is what the child's doing. What does that tell us? What is it that the parents or the other siblings are doing that causes the child to react this way? And then when the child reacts this way, then the parent or the other siblings react another way, and which keeps the whole thing revolving in a system.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of one of the things that we often do with the families, whether it be with the parents or the children. We look at the antecedents, behaviors, and the consequences. So a lot of times they may look at one point of it. Reminds me of a lady who came in and said, wow, my kid's just not listening. He's throwing his toys around the room. And then when we took a deeper look at it, we saw, well, Mom was sitting on the floor with the 5-year-old and giving him full attention, and they were having their parent-child time. Then all of a sudden she had to go and attend to some other things in the house, and the child was like, well, what happened? Where's Mom? All of a sudden everything's changed. So sometimes what's good about the system stuff is we're able to look at what's happening before, what's happening after, the whole context, and how each factor weighs on every other factor.
Right. Goes right along in with the reframing I was talking about earlier. With you know, we see, or the parents see, the child's poor behavior. What we might be able to call that is attention seeking, where the child is doing things to actually draw the parent in, rather than necessarily bad behavior. It accomplishes what the child wants it to accomplish. It gets the parent involved, perhaps not in a positive way, but in a negative way, but at least that's working for the child.
Sure. So one of the things that the groups will also help you do, if you're interested in attending the parent and the child groups, would be to differentiate, as you said, between attention-seeking behavior, genuinely quote-unquote rebellious or behavior problems, kind of seeing what's the function of the behavior, what role each part of the system has, and then addressing, because as you said, when one part changes, it forces the others to decide whether they will or won't change.
You know, and that's interesting about, you said, looking at the parents and see if this is actually attention seeking or if there's something else involved. I recall working with a parent who was adamant about the child keeping the room clean, and that became an issue in the family home. And up until the parent visited a friend of their child and saw their room and saw how it was just in such disarray, clothes everywhere, food, glasses, all those things that he did not want in his child's room. And he looked at his child and was like, well, maybe we've got things a little bit better. Once he was able to put things in a different perspective, he saw what his child was doing was very disorderly, but maybe their child was more average than he originally thought. And so in a family systems approach, everybody has a different perspective about what's going on. A parent sees, you can go even on an accident. If you look at a car accident and you ask a different individual from each different corner wherever the intersection was, each of them will have a different perspective, and may even come up with a different bird's eye view of what's going on. Then the same thing happens in the family. The child might be seeing the parents just being very heavy-handed, very authoritarian, and the parents think, well, this is fine, this is the way I was raised, this is the way my parents did it, and it worked for me, so it must be going, it has to work for our family too.
Yeah, and that key goes into finding what works. We here at River, we like to take things very individualistically too. We like to find out, that each system's unique, like you said. Family of origin for each of the parents and the kids is different.
Right.
And then we have so many non-traditional families too that weigh in the mix nowadays.
You're absolutely right. One of the things I always get to the parents is, what has been working now? What happens when the issue is not an issue anymore? What is going on? And can we find when that is happening? And let's do more of those things. And so the parents literally take a step back, they look at the whole situation. Well, this behavior really doesn't happen at this time of the day. Well, why doesn't it happen at that time of the day? Well, it might be because they've just come home from school and we just had a snack, and now, the sugar level might be down because they've had some healthy snacks, or the sugar level might be up because they ate cookies, or find out what's going on that causes or that precedes an incident, and then we go from there. Let's make more of those kind of things happen that are good, and lessen the things that aren't working.
So again, we invite you here to feel free to give us a call and inquire about the parent-child groups. Bill and I, Angie, and those of us who work with parents and children and the parent-child co-occurring groups like to work with the whole family system. And we really like to individualize, as we said, based on each particular family system, given each person's maturity level, personality, where they're at developmentally, their family background. So we invite you to call us and ask if you have any questions and possibly become part of a parent or child group. Our number is 614-353-4157. Thank you.